Hi everyone, this is a short screencast for Independent Colleges Dublin for November 2014 for CIMA E2. Draw your attention to question 1 of November 11. In this particular screencast we're going to deal with sources of power, in particular French and Raven, and how a particular individual possesses different sources of power and how those sources of power can help her in a particular situation. So really what we have here is TF company and an individual who has going to be dealing with some resistance to changes within TF company. This particular person, KK, generally well liked and respected, has some expert knowledge and certainly interest in the people that work for her. So some hints there in relation to references to French and Raven. Okay, so really what we're required to do is just really list them out, and I think you'll find that we have 4 or 5 in the answer. They're looking for not just a simple short list, they want a little bit of background, so you're going to have to explain what these types of power actually mean. So if we look at the body of the question, and indeed the body of the answer here, what you'll see is that their first paragraph really is fairly general. You know, leaders or indeed managers will have a variety of different sources of power. They do specifically mention French and Raven, and indeed they list the possible elements of power before they go into the detail. So first one here, referent power, and I always associate the word charisma with that, just this idea that if someone is well liked as referenced in the scenario, then it's highly likely that people are going to follow that person or perhaps be motivated to comply with whatever they want them to do. Now, you'll notice in each of the paragraphs that they do refer back to the scenario. So as I said earlier on, you know, don't just give a definition of what referent power is, try and link it into something in the scenario. It will be there, and in this particular case they've said that the individual KK is well liked, so clearly if she is, you know, there's a good chance that people are going to want to comply with what she says. Okay, next one, reward power, sort of sometimes interchangeable with resource power, although they don't do that in this particular question. And really what we're talking about there is, you know, the ability to influence through intrinsic or extrinsic rewards. So sort of, you know, softer or harder rewards, as it were. Okay. Now, in terms of extrinsic, we're really talking about things like, you know, salary or indeed bonuses, something sort of tangible. And, you know, usually those types of rewards are used in a positive way, although you'll see some details below about coercive power and possibly the threat of losing some of these issues is dealt with there. Okay. The other side of it, you know, intrinsic, you know, things like praise, you know, so we could use praise to get what we want, as it were, and it may well be that KK will use that. Okay, next one, coercive, and you'll notice here that apart from defining it, i.e., you know, we're going to punish you in some way, they talk about physical punishment, seems a little bit harsh, or perhaps penalties of some kind. That could well be related to what we mentioned above in terms of salary or indeed bonuses. Okay, so really what we're talking about here is, you know, use of stick and indeed sanction. Now, interesting that in here they do look at the possible downside of this, and you'll find that in most questions on this area, you'll see that it's not really sort of considered to be a particularly good route to take for various reasons, you know, retaliation or possibly even resentment from staff. Outside of that, for KK, clearly that word expertise was mentioned. Yeah, so there's a hint within the scenario, you know, this person has some expertise, and it's highly likely as a result of that people are going to follow and do what she says. Good point to make here, just in relation to expertise, that obviously it needs to be acknowledged, not just acknowledged in the person's own mind, but by the people that she's looking to influence. Okay. Next point, sort of legitimate power, effectively authority, and really sort of based on a sort of a function or a formal position or indeed job, sometimes referred to as position power. So really people are going to follow KK because of her particular position. Okay, so we've got sort of around about 4 points there. They do mention French and Raven again, and they mention a few others. It'd be nice to be able to throw some in. If we've got to 4 or 5 in this type of question, let's throw in 1 or 2 others. I quite like this one, connection power, really the ability to give sort of access to people or indeed possibly information. As I've said, resource power often interchangeable with reward power, similar type of thing. Okay, so pretty straightforward, pretty quick synopsis for you, but some easy marks to be had in this type of question. What's your structure? Do mention French and Raven as well. If you get a chance to define things, for example, authority or even power, then do so as well. Okay, many thanks.